It's 65 weather rated. You can take a little more.
I don't know, supermarkets or secrets
Yeah.
and stuff.
That was a chance in that hour to close this thing down.
My favorite is how Seven. One time I was in a live shot at Gillette, and Seven had this
I was worried about.
with a very, very tall mask.
Story, they
Oh,
didn't
for
have
some
anything
reason.
like that I would.
They decided to lift the front
Now I wish I got something
with
so I
like
could
the
make something.
thing, the angle,
Instead of,
and the
I
mask
thought it was
was
pretty
like
sour and then I was working.
leaning. I'm like,
And I still am.
but I don't know if they still use that for us. I haven't seen it again. But
Yeah,
it was a
that's
big
like,
box
it's
from
kind of
the
annoying, because no matter where I go and what my outfit is, I always end up covering stores. Like every single job I've ever had, they're like, Brooke, can you cover this for, Brooke, can you cover this for there? Like, I've never once been a weather report.
That's why I was
That's cool.
So we're gonna try to keep like a little short microwave unit, but mostly just kind of.
Yeah, you gotta go from the side.
Well, I actually went through a natural weather. I was up for the weather reporter job.
That's a
That's
transfer.
possible. So I already moved to Texas. That is, like, cause they took like 6 months to get back to me, so I've already taken the job. No, that's normal. That's why I didn't even apply.
The one thing I want to know about for you
So
is that I don't get why you
Drop
know.
their like occupation and
You know how the live shows say
Yeah, no, I have
everything
friends
is
who have
like,
been for, none of them have gotten it, but like, I have like very talented, very serious friends who have also never go jobs.
and if you need it, just get it out
And
and.
like, it's like 9 months.
But it's always
And
on
then they
the
want to
process.
get it. It literally, they do want.
So I don't get why it's never been done that way. Like it can't be done locally, like,
So,
and now with 3D
but I guess the nice
printing,
thing
you
about
can
living in Bedford is like,
You
you
could
can
probably-
see what way. If you ever want to move to Boston, it's like not that hard.
Oh, I would not trust USB.
We feed everything back here.
The most important after all the problems they went through was when I moved back to New York and there was like a nonprofit outlet in New Jersey. Met with them, I pitched them story ideas and then.
You asked for an
And so I was checking in and like, yeah, like the pandemic, like everything's on hold and then.
That's actually why I went into PR, because I graduated in the pandemic and my journalism internship fell through,
Everything just comes up.
which is actually pretty sad. And
What platform?
so I
Anything.
just like, the job that I got was
Back to it.
like, it was like,
That's a new
this might be interesting.
Oh, this is that.
No, because I know that though, you can be heat and then there's a setting that you can, I'm pretty sure all
Which one is
people,
that? That's not.
that's the TV.
Even when it's like a
Live,
job,
not
you guys like talk to activists all the time.
What do you
Like,
have?
there's-
News reports?
You got that recording that you can make it, that has no
Yeah, I believe so. I've never used it.
We can't. One of
Because
our.
I remember using that on American. Well, here I can now roll and take a turn, yeah.
The last one left.
So it might have, yeah, because look at where being in the middle of nowhere and like near Boston, no signal. And we basically recorded that until it got the signal to send it.
Materials about like liability and that, and they thought it was like too strong. They were like, it's too
And it goes, so we get it all year, it warms out, we got a blizzard 78, so we get a blizzard 26. Actually, no, you don't have to. Actually, I was like, when's the blizzard 76 weird coming out? We're in Worcester. Yeah, dude, the first time they ever came out, Bihari. Oh my god. I think it's like 7%. It's very
But you know you can also have although I don't like a Leon because that gives too much control. Sick for me, but
They're not.
SpaceX,
I know that I don't
Yeah, and you can have that built into the car.
I understand they're like, we
Yeah,
don't
like
have
clean
to
the
send
car.
it to you, but also it's like, it's just so, like, you're gonna need your live stream.
No.
Starlight.
I even asked them, I was like, is this gonna be streamed, and they didn't get back to me, they sent me like another media advisory about it, it's like, I can't go to Yarmouth, no one in Yarmouth.
But I guess
Yeah,
they
I
were
also
better
was
than that
worried
on
because I wanna
fire.
ask them like for offshore wings, so I also, I was added to the pile like, we'll see, and we're not getting there, we'll give you offshore.
Like you have the one, the square brick. If you have the one with the gas line, you can one with the things gas line.
Oh.
And you get-
But you can use each other.
Even the little ones, the little, what are they called? Like, yeah, it's a fox, the little fox. That one too.
I wanna see the
USB-C.
Yeah, the waterfront, and then total opposite of the waterfront is Buttonwood, where there might be people drinking. There is a dog park.
Channel 6 Just
McClaskey or Classy,
that had
was letting.
a streaming setting on it.
It's near me.
And you just plug it directly to the Cat 5.
That's cool. That's what we're gonna have to start.
Yeah, they sent out.
I know you get this class, I'm gonna
Yeah, the water, the water is.
Yeah, I sent a few texts
Oh,
out
I haven't.
to him.
It's up there.
Yeah.
So we don't have to say cameras. I wonder if there's a server for that that needs to be set up with a pop. You can still go. Signal out. There's ways of doing it.
I get service on that.
Yeah.
I remember when Biden came to Swansea, our cameras were inside. We did not go. They were already checked in. We were stuck.
Blocked from.
We ended up having the live view app on our phones. And we did about 4 live shows with the phone while our gear was inside. And like, I don't imagine.
That's what I saw happening when they had to try to come like, not even half the street, but cloud enough that they could walk.
Yeah. It is funny because it's just like a block, like basically, because my sidewalk is not here, but there's just like a block here.
And yes,
and then when I get to the
she
neighborhood,
didn't find Brian's
I
iPad.
get it from my block.
Wait, what?
She didn't find his iPad, it's not.
You guys
You worried about that?
We watched streets and stuff.
What? Wait, go back.
The sheriff's office went out there.
Yeah.
They did a streets.
Morning, everyone. All right, come on in, everybody. Close that door up. All right, good morning. Is everybody ready? Cable, you guys are ready? Okay, good. All right, we'll get started. Let me just introduce everybody who's up here. Jamie Pond, our Commissioner of Public Infrastructure, City Council President Ryan Pereira, Police Chief Jason Thode, Brian Obriga, our Emergency Management Director, and Mike Thomas, our Director of Emergency Medical Services. Welcome to one of those days where it's acceptable to wear jeans to work, everybody. Let me just start off and sum up what ought to be evident, but has to be said, which is we just got walloped. That was one big snowstorm. So officially, according to the National Weather Service, 37 inches of snow fell on New Bedford in this snow event, this multi-day snow event. That represents the largest snowfall on record in the city's history. It is hard to wrap your head around. I couldn't believe when I walked outside last night, just like I had snow up to my thighs. I've personally never experienced that, and I suspect unless there's somebody here in the room who's from Buffalo, you haven't either. It is a lot of snow, and what exacerbated the event, of course, was hurricane force winds, which are we had gusts up to 70 miles an hour off of Buzzards Bay, and the effect of that wind was really twofold for our plow drivers. The first was that it made visibility really poor. I think you've seen some of the images of what it would look like to a snowplow driver, which was at times, especially from about 6 a.m. yesterday morning to about a little afternoon to about 1 o'clock roughly, they could only see a few feet in front of their truck. It made things very difficult. The other difficulty that presented was, of course, that it blew snow back into places that had been plowed. Streets were filled back up again. So from the plow driver's perspective, and from the city's perspective, for that matter, it was as though we're plowing the same city over, say, 3 times. It certainly made it more difficult to make things passable. Nevertheless, and I want to clarify something that we put out yesterday, which ultimately turned out not to be the case. We initially thought that we had to pull plow drivers off of the routes entirely. They were pulled off of side streets, but they continued to, despite it all, to plow the mains. And so, as you see here today, for those of you that came in from out of town or wherever else, the mains are not in bad shape. They're passable, and but we've got a lot of work to do on the side streets. New Bedford's got about 300 miles of roadway, and there's a lot of it that has that still needs to be plowed. That's our task today. Power outages, I want to just say something about power outages. I think what's one of the more remarkable aspects of the storm is just how few customers actually lost power. We had, at the height of it, just under 5,000 customers who lost power. It's down to roughly 3,400 at this point, and we didn't lose much in the way of power to critical infrastructure. We did lose the police headquarters for a time, but they were on generator power. That worked out fine. They're back up and running now. They're plugged in. But St. Luke's Hospital and a number of other facilities of critical infrastructure remained up and running. As it stands right now, we have 3 wastewater pumping stations that are down. One of them's on generator power. We don't see a big issue there. I think we'll get them back running soon enough. The other thing I'll just point out is, and this is really a compliment to the residents of the city, the compliance with the parking ban was the best I've ever witnessed. We still issued over 810 tickets, and there were 252 cars that were towed. That was significantly down from the last storm, and so, what we look for is not really the number of tickets, but it's just how many cars are out of compliance, and the reality was that the streets were very clear, and that is going to help out a lot. So that's where things are right now as we stand. And so what can people expect? So I think the most important takeaway is that this is going to be a multi-day effort. There's a lot of snow out there. Unfortunately, the wind has died down, so that helps the plowing effort considerably. But we're going to be at it around the clock, as you've seen as you walked in here to City Hall. For those of you who are in attendance here today, there's a lot of work just being done. The work is evident, and people all over the place who are plowing sidewalks and plowing streets and hauling snow away, and that's going to continue. A lot of our effort's going to be on the mains, of course, but those are pretty far along. The mains have to get cleared up so that emergency vehicles can freely drive up and down the street. But there's a lot of work to be done, as I said, on the sides, and that is happening. So just let me tell you a little bit by the numbers of what we have out there. So the city has over 100 pieces out there of equipment, plows and front-end loaders and dump trucks. We have augmented that force with 20 additional contractor pieces. These are front-end loaders and backhoes, 14 tri-axle dump trucks, 10 smaller pieces for some of the tighter spaces, things like Bobcats, similar types of equipment. So they're all out there, and we're getting more as we speak. So that is continuing to be an enlarging effort. We have requested assistance from the state, specifically from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation and the Massachusetts Army National Guard. We have received so far 4 state contractor pieces, and they are, if they're not already out there, they will be shortly. We're still working with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to secure still more pieces. Eversource has staged here in New Bedford. They were embedded with our emergency management department to coordinate their efforts throughout the region from New Bedford. They've also brought in other resources. They've staged a number of crews over at the Best Western in Fairhaven. A lot of these folks are who are going to go in and cut down trees. We didn't have all that many trees down. We had some down, some large branches down. Surprisingly, not as many as we anticipated. I don't have an exact number, but just by general observation, there weren't that many down. We have a number of, as things go on today, we're already starting this, you will see this becomes, once the plowing, like the pushing of snow from the street starts to wind down, it becomes an excavation effort. First priority is to clear the streets. The next is to go ahead and pull the snow out. We live in a very densely populated city, at least many parts of it are very densely populated, and there aren't too many places for snow to go. So what we do is, as you saw last month, we pull it away, we haul it away. And so those places include the former Aerovox site in the north end, as well as parking lots by the beaches in the south end, as well as the former Eversource site. So these, the former Elko Dress site. So there are a number of places that we can go. We've used all of these places before in previous snowstorms, though, as we know, not in a long time. But that's all squared away. So everybody's going to be working this throughout the day and night. Our plow drivers came in for a little bit of rest. They were on for over 24 hours, and we're sending. They're all coming back. They're going to work another long shift. We have to monitor their level of alertness. Of course, we don't want people behind plow trucks for an indefinite amount of time, because that isn't safe for anybody. Let me talk about cancellations. So there are many. So these include, tomorrow, so we're talking tomorrow. Everything's closed up today, of course, but so we're talking tomorrow. So in no particular order, City Hall will be closed tomorrow. All city offices will be closed. All libraries will be closed. The senior centers will be closed. The zoo will be closed throughout the week. Schools are canceled tomorrow, both for New Bedford Public Schools as well as New Bedford Vocational School. Not a lot will be running tomorrow, because, as you can tell, there's a lot of work to be done, and we don't, as I will emphasize in a moment, we do not want cars on the road. Plus, there aren't a whole lot of spaces where folks can walk. The trickiest call, I think, has been with trash service. We are concerned that when trash service resumes, we always have to be careful about the risk that trash barrels can get knocked over and then spill trash, and then it's all laid bare once the snow melts, which is unpleasant. That's something that we have to contend with. The other thing is that we don't want barrels to impede the plowing effort, which, as I noted, is ongoing. So what we're going to do, and this is something that we haven't done in a long time, we are going to delay trash service yet another day, so through tomorrow. So there will be no trash service tomorrow, that is to say on Wednesday. What that means is that people will have to do a little bit of math. Your trash service will be delayed 3 days. So if you are ordinarily a Monday pickup person or household, you will be moved to Thursday. And if you're Tuesday, you will be moved to Friday, and so forth. So that includes, if you are on Friday, that means that you will have your trash picked up again on Monday. We'll have update this just for the sake of clarity so everybody gets it, because every time we do any kind of delay, there's some people who don't get the message and still put their trash barrels out. So we're going to continue to repeat this message just so that we can avoid people aren't putting their trash out unnecessarily and risking that it be knocked over. So more repetition there to come, but I think I think that is in the city's best interest, both to allow for plowing as well as to avoid trash strewn across city streets. So we will, and the other thing I just want to talk about is sheltering. So over at PACA on Cogswell Street, they've had a temporary shelter set up primarily for the unsheltered population in the city. There were 17 people there last night. We have not opened an emergency shelter. The reason for that is we didn't have mass power outages. We're going to keep an eye on how quickly power gets restored. So if that changes, we'll let everybody know. But as of right now, we're not opening an emergency shelter. The airport is closed today, like other airports in the Northeast, and so people should stay tuned for that. You should, if you have flights in the next couple of days, you should just call your airline and understand when your flight's going to take off. So that's what people should do. The port in New Bedford will reopen today. It was shut down yesterday, and then will be reopened today. Let me talk about what people can do. So for many, this is the most important part. So I declared a state of emergency 2 days ago. That remains in place. The city is still effectively shut down. And so there will be plowing, as I said, going on all day long. And the best thing that people can do is to stay off the roads. We need the cars to stay out of the way. This will allow us to get back into business faster. And it's tempting as you walk out here and the skies are blue. It feels like dawn has broken. It's a new day. It's all in the past. The reality is the storm is not in the past. We're dealing with the residue, quite literally, of a major weather event. And all of that has to be addressed, and that's what we're doing. So the parking ban remains in effect until further notice. You can safely assume it will remain in effect through the day today, but we will have updates. But you please do not put your car on the road. It will get in the way of plows. Do things that are as simple as check in on your neighbors. If you live next door to somebody who's elderly, just make sure that they're okay, that the heating is in their house is squared away. They're not. There's no real need that their needs are being addressed. Please don't shovel snow into the street. That doesn't help the cause. It just adds more snow onto the city street. We see people doing that, and quite frankly, when we drive by and give them askance looks, you can tell they know better than to do that. So that doesn't help. And by the way, we keep the parking ban in place, and we do all these things because fundamentally it's about the free passage of emergency vehicles. We had somewhere between 75 and 100 emergency vehicles that got stuck yesterday. They got stuck all over the places, ambulances, fire trucks, and they had to be pulled out of the snow. We had there were 64 ambulance responses yesterday. It was like a normal day in the city, and so a lot of those got stuck. We don't have the exact numbers because it got to the point where it was too hard to count, but suffice it to say it was a lot. So please, please, please stay off the roads. As tempting as it is to pull your car out and park in the streets so you can shovel your driveway, do your best with your driveway or your sidewalk or wherever for now. You can shovel now, the snow has stopped, but again, know that the city is still plowing, so that also means that if you have a house with a driveway, it is likely that there's going to be a plow that comes by that pushes the snow back into your driveway. We don't have concierge snow plow service. We can't tailor our plowing so that we can carve out people's driveways like that. It doesn't work. To plow efficiently, they have to go right down the street, and that inevitably will push snow into spaces that have been cleared. And so I just ask everybody's patience. More generally, I ask everybody's patience because I can't emphasize it enough. We got a lot of snow. 37 inches of snow that got blown back into the streets time and time again, even after we plowed it. So fortunately now that the the wind has died down, we can go about the work, but it's a lot of work. And I want to thank all the city employees who are out there, bleary-eyed, like a lot of the reporters in the room who covered it yesterday. They worked really hard, and as did you guys, and we appreciate your coverage of all this yesterday, because it enabled people to understand what was going on. But they're going to continue to work hard at this, and know that we'll be able to get through it in the next few days. But people, I ask everybody to be patient, because that's what's required under the circumstances. So that's what I have for you, and I'll open it up to questions.
Approximately how many workers do you have throughout the city right now? I know you probably can't give an exact number, but within the last couple hours, we've been standing out here just seeing a lot more people out here with equipment, shovels, but give a number on how many people and...
Well, I think there right now, Joe, I think there are 142 pieces out there altogether, but that's changed. We're adding to it. We're getting contractors from various sources that are coming here. So, and we still have hat in hand to the state to send more, and so those conversations continue. But right now, I think the best number I can give you is 142.
And question for Mike Thomas with EMS. Can you speak to like the high acuity calls you responded to yesterday, and how EMS adapted given there were stuck ambulances or snow piles to get through? I heard there might have been adapting like a plastic board to like pull the patient out and sled them on the snow, but can you speak to how EMS handled this yesterday?
Sure. So we have about 10 vehicles that were on the road throughout the day yesterday. At times we did get stuck, but with the assistance of fire department, DPI, police, they would help pull us out. At times we would go to a call and we would have to stop at the top of the street because the streets were difficult to get down, and crews would use maybe a scoop stretcher to bring equipment down and get the patient out that way. So it did work out. Most of the calls with some with chest pain, shortness of breath, some high priorities, but we got there and we did transport patients. Total of 6.
And can you speak to it all and other first responders how response time changed yesterday? I heard in the scanner like there were a lot of delays.
Yeah, response times were extended. They were extended due to the weather, obviously, and the snow. But it took us a little longer than usual, but we did get there. We did treat patients and transported them.
All right, thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
All right, other questions?
I know you said, main streets were the main priority, but will those side streets be the focus today? Because, a lot of people can't get out of their homes, or they're shoveling it.
We're tackling all of it. The mains always have to be the priority because of the need for the free passage of emergency vehicles. But I think we're pretty close on that. There are lots of side streets that they've all been touched. And so sometimes when people look outside their windows and see like the plows never come here, the plows hit every street yesterday. It's just a lot of those streets were filled back up again by virtue of a 70 mile an hour gusts. So that work will be ongoing until we get it all clear.
We saw yesterday several vehicles stuck on the exit ramps into 295, to the highway. Is there any type of repercussions for the people that got stuck, the cars that are left behind on the exit ramps?
Well, they've got to be dug out. So if they're on the state highways, then the state will be working on that primarily. And if we have to assist them with that effort, we'll do that. Obviously, we want to get cars out of the way. I mean, you guys will, as you drive around the city, you'll see that there are lots of spots where it looks like a snow mound, but there's actually a car underneath it. They got so much snow you can't tell what's a snow mound and what's a car. And so we will be excavating out as much as we can over the next several days using a whole lot of contractors to help us. Yeah, Brooke?
Are you coordinating with the state or the county on the travel ban? Do you have a sense of when that might be lifted in Bristol County?
Well, so we will try to enforce that as we can. It's not clear to me that that ban extends to local roads, but that's why I encourage people just to stay off the road. What is in place here is that we will be enforcing is a parking ban. We don't want people parked on the side of the road where they don't belong, especially on the mains. So that's our enforcement. Enforcement priority, and I will say too that as many tickets as the city wrote yesterday, it's we hope not to write a single one more, but people are still subject to ticketing and towing if they do that.
And we got a chance to talk to a few people out, specifically up there at Cove Street by the police department, and, you know, power outages have been stretched out, but
Right.
Eversource has been bringing them down.
Yeah.
Question for you, what kind of message do you have for some of the people? We spoke with some folks, they said that it had been 24 hours, they hadn't gotten power, and, you know, it's tree down, and, you know, you guys are doing everything you can, but
Yeah.
what kind of message do you have for, a lot of them had to leave because the house was getting too cold, and I know you're not opening up an emergency shelter, any other place they can go, what message do you have for them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would just say, look, if you are, so you should call Eversource if you've lost power, so they know, and know that we're working very closely with Eversource to ensure that they're gaining access. We want to plow the streets so they can get down there. A lot of times, even if you've lost power, the problem is elsewhere. It may not be exactly on your street. I think down on Cove Street, or I think down around Vile Street, down around that general area, there was a tree down, and over a power line, looked like that may have been the cause of it, but it's hard to know. We presume that, but that may not be the case. But if you are, this is why I ask people to check to see if, to check in on their neighbors. I think that's the best bet. We can, we can open up, PACA is open as a warming site. We can open up more as we can get things open, right? So that's part of the difficulty here. But I asked everybody to just check in on their neighbors to see what they can, if there's some assistance that can be lent. It's much easier to go to your next door neighbor or somebody around the block or a relative than who lives nearby than to try to travel around the city at this point. All right, anybody else? All right then. All right, thank you everybody. More updates to come. And again, I can't emphasize enough the hard work of city employees who have been at it around the clock, and they're going to stay with it until the work is done. So thank you very much.
Is there a street that's the worst right now that's been blocked completely? Just so because how it's been created, like, you know how some streets are like especially tight?
They're not that hard to find. I haven't ranked them, but there's definitely, probably not so much in the downtown, but there's plenty of side streets.
Go check out Wild Street.